Sorry about the white.
Jim,
Video camera guys know what I'm talking about. A
you,
little hot.
by my count, you had, I think you blitzed 16 times, another six maybe zone blitzes. Is this the new Jim Schwartz?
I don't count them. You guys count them. I don't. We just do what sort of the game plan entails and what it takes to win the game. Every game's a little bit different. I thought the guys did a good job of executing the call that was made.
What do you see out of the Vikings?
Pardon?
What do you see out of the Vikings run game right now?
Well, first thing, it looks like they've clicked the speed of the film up a little bit. I mean, man, they're making big plays everywhere. It's not just Dalvin Cook. That rookie Madison's a good running back. Abdullah. They got four running backs that are averaging, 5'7", 5'8", 5'9", and then 9'3" a carry. So that'll get your attention real quick. And we're a pretty strong run defense. They're a pretty strong run offense. That's going to be a great match on Sunday.
What made you decide to rush more of Brandon Graham's side this time?
Matchups had a lot to do with it, and there was some of that. It was mainly on third down. It really wasn't first and second down. But we liked some of his leverage matchups and things like that. I thought that was really one of the biggest sequence of the game was our opening drive. We haven't done a great job on the opening drive this year, and we expected Le'Veon Bell to carry a load for him. We were able to get after him twice and limit his effectiveness on the first two runs, and then come back and get a sack on the third play. And BG was really a great tone setter for us when it came to that, whether he was outside or inside for us.
Jim, Paul mentioned the blitzes before. You just got Orlando back, but you had him over the summer. Is that something that he's kind of natural at off the slot that you knew he could handle because of all his time as a veteran player?
He is a savvy guy, smart football player, has been around. It was more scheme than just trying to accentuate what he's good at, because he did a good job in coverage in that game also, and I thought tackled pretty well for us also. But so sometimes it goes into a matchup that you like, that you want to try to put your guys in. Sometimes it just has to do with protections and scheme and things like that, and sometimes it's just the way it works out. Sometimes you might have a blitz that's called for a certain side, and you don't know that player's actually going to be the one that'll be taking the blitz. So it's a combination of all three, but to be able to get a sack, a strip, and score a touchdown, get the recovery and score a touchdown, big play, no matter when it is. I would like to point out on that play, the coverage did an outstanding job on that. He wanted to go deep on that play, and Russell was in great position. Then he wanted to take the shallow cross, and it was his own blitz, and Vinny was in great position. Then he wanted to go Le'Veon Bell late, and we had a couple guys cover that. And he really had nowhere to go with the ball, and that gave our guys time because they picked up the blitz. The guys did a good job of staying after it and being tenacious, but the blitz was picked up. It was more the coverage that caused that play, and good to see us get back in the end zone a couple times with him and Snake.
With Brandon inside, if that continues, I guess that means more opportunity for Josh Sweat. Where is he right now? What have you seen from him?
Yeah, I thought Josh did a good job in this game too. His reps haven't been extensive, but when he's been in there, he's been pressuring the quarterback at a pretty good percentage. I thought his best play in the game wasn't a sack. I thought his best play was chasing a rundown from the backside. Really did a nice job of that, and he's on the come as a good young player.
Jim, even though he didn't record a sack, it seemed like Fletcher Cox made a huge contribution in this game. Does he appear to be almost totally back physically?
Yeah, you know me. I'm not a big stat guy. It's about stopping drives. It's about winning games and limiting scoring and things like that. But Rodney's interception was all Fletch. Fletch had everything, and I'd much rather have the interception there than a sack. All due respect to Fletch, I know he'd rather have the sack, but I said before, being around the quarterback causes his high percentage of takeaways, and you saw that. You just talked about Josh Sweat. His sack was Fletch disrupted the quarterback, stepped up, and Josh came off his block and was able to make the sack. But there's no stat for team defense. There's no stat for guys doing their job, doing it tough and doing it physically. And Fletch did that in this game, a tackle for loss. I know fantasy football and Twitter and all those things, we tend to put a big emphasis on stats and fantasy points and all that stuff, but it's a team game when it's all said and done, and he played well in this game.
Jim, what did you think of Craig James' game, his first start?
Yeah, it was his first start ever in the NFL. I mean, his first 2 defensive snaps ever were last week. So, he was called upon, had a tough start. Missed a tackle against Le'Veon Bell, which, I don't know. I mean, Le'Veon Bell's a tough matchup out there, but missed a tackle, got a pass interference, and you could tell that they were going to try to test him as much as they could. But he settled down after that. And I think that, we've talked in here a lot about that with corners. You're always on display, and you can't let a couple bad plays affect you. Well, he lived that on Sunday. He didn't let a couple bad plays. It didn't shake his confidence. He was there the rest of the time. I think that he had a really nice coverage on Crowder. And limiting Crowder's touches in this game was big for us, too. I mean, the guy had like 17 targets in the opener or some ridiculous thing like that. And I think he had 2 catches in this game. And he got us to a big 3rd down on a 2nd down play where he was 1-on-1, made a good, strong tackle, tackled well in the run game. All things you want to see from a young player. I thought that was a big step from him. And I especially like the fact that it started off, he started off with a couple bad plays, and he was able to bounce back from that. And he also had a little bit of a target. I mean, any new player out there is going to have a target from, the offense coordinator or the quarterback. And he was able to stand tall and help us get the win.
The Vikings offensive line hasn't been a strength of theirs in recent years. They got some, new personnel in there. What do you see from them?
Yeah, they play well as a unit. A lot of zone blocking, a lot of chop blocks, stretch run. You can see Gary Kubiak's influence into their run game. And that's the thing, when you talk about the zone run game, it's not a one-on-one blocking, endeavor. It's 5 guys, 6 guys, plus a fullback all working together and then tying the running back into it. And, they're all on the same page, and they do an outstanding job of it. And like I said, it's going to be a great match on Sunday, a good run defense against outstanding run offense.
What are some of the reasons this team is so good at stopping the run, especially after you lose Jackson and Jernigan?
Yeah, just good coaching all around. No, our guys, we put an emphasis on it. I mean, I saw something this week that there were like 9 300-yard passers in the NFL, and I think their teams were 4 and 5 this week. 50-50 proposition. I saw there were 8 100-yard rushers, and their teams were 7 and 1. We've always put a big emphasis on stopping the run, and when you can do that, that allows your pass rush to be able to go. So we put an emphasis on it. Our guys, are pretty well know what to do. It doesn't always look great, but going back to Sunday, that was such a big thing in that game. I mean, I can't tell you how much respect I have for Le'Veon Bell as a player, not just to run, the pass. He made a couple 3-yard runs in that game that, a lot of other guys would be -5 or -6, and he was able to squirt through a small hole or break a tackle or stay alive and stuff like that. But I think, it lost in 10 sacks and a couple defensive scores and, all that kind of stuff. We never really let them, and they came out trying to get Le'Veon Bell established, and our defense did a good job of, combating that and giving us a chance to be able to rush the passer and those kind of things. So,
how much of an impact has having Rodney back and fully healthy had on the defense?
Yeah, I mean he's a big part of our defense, not just in communication, but the energy he plays with. He's a good, strong tackler. We might have had might have had an extra sack if not for Rodney. I mean, probably our worst pass rush. Rodney was free on a rush one time, and the quarterback slipped him, which is going to happen. But he's taking a lot of ribbing for that right now. But you know, he's been a big part of our success as a franchise over the last few years, and it's great to have him back.
You mentioned Kubiak a little bit. They also brought in Rick Dennison for that running game. But you've seen a lot of that team in recent years. How much have they kind of changed schematically with those two guys?
Well, I think at run game in particular, there's a whole family of coaches. You mentioned Dennis and Perini, the tight ends coach. Well, he's been historically a tight ends coach, but Kubiak, those guys were in Denver and they were in Houston and Baltimore. There's a lot of carryover. They're all experienced guys that are on the same page, that know that run game inside out. And I think that when you watch guys play together as a unit, when you watch guys play fast, that's a testament to coaching. And and Gary's been one of the best at coaching that scheme for a long time.
Can we see this summer before you get released?
This summer?
Yeah, after you guys signed him, I mean, your impressions of him?
Yeah, I mean, I think I said it before, he's a veteran player. He knew what to do. He was in shape. He was ready to go. There just wasn't any room on the roster for him at that time. But, I don't think that was time wasted. He was able to step in on 3 days practice and go out and have a good performance. So he was ready when he was called upon, and that's no different than all the other guys that sit in the chairs in this room, whether on the practice squad like Craig James and get brought up, or they were in camp with you. There's a chance you're going to be brought back at some time, and you have to be ready. He was.
Jim, we've seen Derek Barnett take a couple personal fouls on interception returns this season. What's the typical coaching point there for your guys? I mean, you see a lot of penalties, sometimes illegal blocks, but also with personal fouls. What should he do differently there?
Yeah, both my daughters wear Derek Barnett jerseys to the games, so tells you how much I think of him. And Derek's always a guy that plays with a chip on the shoulder. It's one of the things that makes him successful. But you got to be careful about crossing that line. And, interception returns traditionally have been, I mean, you go back and bore you, but like 20 years ago, the interception return, there'd be like 9 guys on defense, trying to go mess up the quarterback, And, you get offensive linemen that are knocking you around the pile or holding you the whole time, and now it's like, I'm going to go get that guy back. But you can't make it a personal war. It has to be about the team, whether it's, who gets the sack or, who gets the block or, whatever it is. The one dynamic that's a little bit different this year, and it doesn't really affect, it hasn't had anything to do with Derek, but the whole peel back block going in, we've tried to really emphasize that, because you can't go in with any kind of force. You got to wall guys off with your hands. It's so hard to make plays and get interceptions or scoop fumbles. The last thing you want to do is take that away with a penalty. Derek knows that. And he just got to balance playing with that chip on his shoulder and playing tough and physical and hustling, all the things we love about him, and just make sure we don't cross the line into doing something that hurts the team. Thanks, guys.
Good afternoon.
What's gone into the decision to go with just 2 tight ends a few of the weeks this season so far?
Just having 2 tight ends active. I think that's a really good question for Coach and Howie, but obviously we feel really comfortable with Dallas and Zach, and the receiving group that we've had and the running back group that we've had available, and putting different packages together for the guys that are up.
Like it seemed like Sunday, this past Sunday in particular, that the inside zone runs were working very well, and the stuff on the outside. Was that essentially what the Jets were doing, or was that something you guys could have done better?
Probably in some cases a little bit of both. I think you give the Jets a lot of credit. They were whatever 6 or 8 in the league in rushing heading into the game. Greg Williams does a terrific job with his scheme. Been a coordinator in the league for a long time, but there's times where they're setting the edge, bringing perimeter pressure, and setting the edge, and then stunting away from it, which does make it more challenging to get the ball to the perimeter. And we did we did a good job at times, and others there's plays that we'd like to have back and do a little bit better.
The last 2 games since Dallas got healthy, Mike, you're playing more 12 than you are 11. Is that a long-term thing? You're just looking at it game to game, and
That's a good question. I mean, we obviously feel really good about Dallas, and having Dallas and Zach, and the combination of 2 wide receivers out there with a running back. We're very versatile in that group. Can do a lot of different things, both in the run game and the passing game. And I think that's a personnel group that you'll continue to see. A lot from us, but at the same time, we're going to play the game week to week, depending on how we think it gives us the best advantage. And we felt really good about that personnel group the last several weeks. You're right.
What has it impressed you the most about Jordan Howard and his approach?
You can just tell he's an experienced runner. He's obviously really strong with the ball in his hands. He's decisive. He's got good vision. Shows the ability to stick his foot in the ground, and then he pushes the pile. He's generally falling forward for additional yards, rarely knocked back. He's a strong runner. Brings that tenacity to our offense.
What else would be done
Do you
to get?
miss when Deshaun is not available to you on offense?
Wow. I mean, we all know how dynamic Deshaun is when he's out there. So, hopefully he gets better soon. But the guys that have been out there have done a really, really good job. We just talked about the 12 personnel grouping that we've got out there. We feel really good about that. Running backs have been running well. The offensive line has done a great job, and with the ball control and running the football and establishing the line of scrimmage. So, we're excited about the guys that we got out there. We feel really confident that the guys we're playing with, and we're looking forward to the day when Deshaun's available again.
Sean, how can you get the downfield passing game going a little more?
I think we got behind the defense twice the other day. Had legal contact on both plays, which really kind of negated those opportunities. So we'll continue to try to look for those, and when we get them, hopefully we hit them. I felt really good about those 2 plays, and unfortunately, we know how it played out.
Those wide receivers, JJ, I think he had 2 snaps on Sunday, and not on special teams. And is there going to be a role for him going forward?
Yeah, I think it's week to week. It's ongoing. He's a developmental player for us, and he's ready to step in like he did, in Atlanta and Detroit, and played a lot of snaps. And we've played, with Dallas being healthy, we've played more in 12 personnel, and so that reduces, the role of the 3rd wide receiver, so to speak. And got a lot of confidence in JJ and his development and what he'll be able to do for us this fall.
Mike, I was asking Doug yesterday about the offensive line penalties Sunday, and he mentioned specifically they were going to send some of them into the league because they didn't see that there were penalties. Have you gotten any feedback on that?
Not that I'm aware of. Haven't gotten any feedback yet, no.
What did you think?
I think they called it really closely. Yeah. Is that all right to say like that? Yeah, I think it was some tight calls. Yeah. Sometimes a lot of times those things wouldn't have gotten called.
There was a point in the game where Lane looked at the sideline, looked like he was emphatically calling for more runs.
Who's that?
Lane Johnson.
Oh.
And I know offensive linemen love to run block, especially when they're imposing their will like they were. Could that change the play call when you see that and they're feeling that? Could that maybe at some time change the play call if you were thinking past, okay, we're going to go run. These guys are feeling it.
Yeah, I think, along the lines of communication and collaboration that we have here and we pride ourselves in, both, upstairs as a coaching staff, and then when we come downstairs and go into meetings with our players, we got a lot of trust in our players and what they say to us, that they're telling us the truth and what they believe in. And obviously it's up to us as coaches to manage the game and call the game the way that we see gives us the best opportunity. But when we're running it and the guys are feeling it, I think that we certainly have a lot of strong belief in what those guys see.
With Mike Zimmer, the double A guy looks that he's given all these years, and whether he's coming or not. Is that something that he still does a lot of?
Yeah, he's the godfather of it, isn't he? Yeah. Yeah,
I remember a couple years ago he said he stopped doing it because everyone copied off him. But is it something that he still does a lot of?
Yeah, it still shows up on our tape every year when we play. Yeah, so it's a big part of the preparation this week, and obviously with their package, they've got it all. So they're not missing a piece here or there. They can do anything they want to out of it. So it's got our full attention.
How important is it for then Kelsey and Carson to be in sync in terms of communication?
Those two guys are always on the same page, in constant communication, both during the week, when we have our blitz protection meetings throughout the course of walkthroughs, in practice, when we have our blitz drills in practice, and then even after the fact, we come back inside, we talk about it, and we work through it all throughout the course of the week. And if there's anything in game that we need to talk about, those guys are in constant communication between them, Stout, myself, Coach Peterson, everybody's involved with that.
Have you seen them, Mike, amping up the overload blitz as well, though?
What's that?
You mentioned, Mike said a couple years ago that he stopped doing as much A-gap stuff. Has there been more overload blitzes from the side from him, or have you not noticed that?
No, I mean he's got the full complement of pressures, and he's obviously, his defense is, those guys are veterans in that defense. They've been running his defense for a long time now, and with the guys that he's got, the talented group that he's got, I mean they can get a lot of pressure on you just with their front four, so they don't need to bring the overload blitz, as you call it, too often, but they got your attention with the front four. But then they have the exotic blitz package that Coach Zimmer's known for, and so we got to be on our game, like we talked about with the communication, quarterback, center, the entire offensive line, the running backs. Our running backs did a great job picking up the pressures last week. A lot of perimeter pressures, a lot of corner safety pressures, and I thought Miles and Jordan both did a great job stepping up and protecting the quarterback.
About the running backs, it didn't seem like either Miles Sanders or Jordan Howard sort of came into this season with the reputation of being a good pass protector, but have you been impressed with what they've done in that role this season?
Yeah, I'd say go back and watch that tape from Sunday. Miles put the corner right on his back on one of them. I got a question about Miles in protection a few weeks ago. I'd say he's on it, and he's up to the challenge. So I know he'll be challenged again throughout the course of the season, whether it's this week or the remaining weeks. And Jordan's done the same thing. He had one in Green Bay where he stepped up in the hole and flat-headed the backer. It was rushing right there. So got a lot of confidence in those guys, not only knowing their protections and being targeted right, but stepping up and keeping the pocket firm.
What are you seeing from Nelson? The last two games, he only has the one catch, but he's playing 90% of the time.
Yeah.
What's he doing well or not well?
Well, he's doing everything that we ask him to do. Mentioned a couple of, we get the question about the down the field throws, and he's got behind the defense, got knocked off his route, twice the other day. Otherwise, maybe he's got 2 touchdowns, and we're sitting there going, "Holy cow, what a game!" So it's just little things like that impact the stat line a little bit. But he's doing a lot of things behind the scenes as he always does. Tremendous teammate and unselfish player, and one of the glues to the offense.
When you mention a lot of guys in their defense haven't played there a long time, one of the guys on the roster here now, Anderson Day, was there for 7-8 years.
He was.
Is that a guy that you'll sort of use as a resource?
No, we wouldn't ask him anything.
What can a guy like him? How can they help?
Well, like you said, he was there a long time. He knows the calls. They've played against us before. So he's in our system now defensively, so it's not as fresh to him, but there's some things here and there that he might remember.
Like, when Sproles out, will there be more of a role for Corey in the offense?
I think we'll just have to figure that out as we go, Merrill. We like to mix all the backs in there and keep them fresh, so I got a lot of confidence in Corey. Both in all phases, and protecting the quarterback and running the ball, or as a receiver out of the backfield. He can do all 3 of those things well for us, and I know he'll be ready when his number's called.
If you look at Carson's interception percentage, it's down to, did he ask that? Oh, that's the, I was talking to your center, so that's why. He's down to 1.1%. That's the best of his career.
What was it? What's 1.1?
It's Carson's interception percentage.
Oh, okay.
Is that the function of an emphasis from you guys, or is that just kind of where he is in the offense at this point?
I think it's probably his experience level, obviously in this system, and understanding exactly what we want to get done, and where guys are, his comfort level with the guys that are in the huddle with them, and being where they're supposed to be, knowing where his outlets are. I think he's played at a really high level in these first 5 weeks, and obviously we expect it to continue that way. So.
Is there a benchmark for that number that you want to see from your quarterbacks?
No interceptions. No.
That's pretty rare. Aaron Rodgers was like 0.6 in 2019.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's doing a great job of taking care of the ball, not forcing the issue, being smart. It's not always the most fun. When you could stick one of those balls in there, those are the kind of balls that get you really excited, get the juices flowing a little bit. But understanding when to take those shots and when to dump it off, I think says a lot about where he's at with his game.
Do you feel like you guys are giving Carson a little more say at the line? It's something you guys done since his rookie year, but is there a little more, would you say, of him have the freedom to check in and out of plays, whether you send him with two or?
Yeah, we got a ton of confidence in him at the line of scrimmage, and his ability to process the amount of information that he's getting from the defense in a short amount of time, get it communicated, disseminated to everybody out there, is really unique, and we want to take advantage of that ability. And he's gotten us into some really good plays, and want to continue to be able to do that each and every week. And we think that gives us an advantage. Helps us to run good plays and the fair looks, and put us in a good position to be successful.
A follow-up to Zach's question: his interception rate is down. One number that isn't up is the yards per attempt. Is that because you're playing more 12 and the routes are different? Is it because Deshaun hadn't been there for the last 4 games? Combination of everything?
That's something I don't really analyze a whole lot. I mean, I think the number one stat is getting your team in the end zone, and I think we're 5th in the NFL right now in touchdown percentage. So we try to really start everything with that, and then work from there. But we believe that explosive plays are important to both yardage production and scoring, and can continue to try to look for those kinds of plays. And hopefully that, over the course of a 16-week season that we make more than our share there.
After watching the tape, what did you see on the sneak? Did you think you got a bad spot there?
It was, from our vantage point there, he's got his back turned. It's really hard to see where the ball is. Looks like his body's across the line to gain, but you can't see the ball. And I haven't gone back and looked at the TV copy, but I don't know if you have but I. Yeah, I mean, it was just hard to tell. It looked like he pushed across on the coach's copy, though. Yeah. All right, thank you.